Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica and today's video is my April wrap-up. So, April was kind of an interesting month. I had a lot of 4 stars. So, I read 31 books in April. 5 were 5 stars. 7 were 4.5 stars. 11 were 4 stars. I had 3 3.5 stars. I had 2 3 stars. I had 1 unrated, 1 DNF, and 1 reread. I actually had 9 ALCs and or ARCs, so that is pretty good. As for my audiobook, ebook, paperback, I had 30. So audiobooks format. So I had 30 audiobooks and 1 ebook, no physical. So for genre or subgenre breakdown, I had 1 historical romance, 8 contemporary, 1 sports romance, 7 romantic suspense, 1 mafia or MC, but it was actually in mafia, 4 dark romances, 5 paranormal romances, 2 romanticities, 1 historical fiction, and 1 nonfiction. So I actually read a nonfiction book. So I did the my mid-month wrap-up or check-in or whatever I'm calling it. I already filmed that, so I'm not going to talk about those books that I've already talked about. That is linked down below, so if you want to check out that video, you absolutely can. But let's get into the ones that I've rated 4 stars or higher, because that's how I'm going to start doing it now. I don't talk about books that I give under 4 stars. I don't feel like I have anything constructive or nice to say, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not bashing people. I don't care. I will never do that here. So let's start with my first one that I read after my mid-month, and that was Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. I listened to the audiobook and it was very entertaining. I really enjoyed their story. It was very rich. It was well written, well paced. I loved the characters, Rowan and Genevieve. Genevieve was a very strong heroine. Rowan was very cunning, and I really liked him. I really liked him. They really worked well together, trying to get through all the stuff that was happening in the book, as well as trying to outwit the devil himself. The romance was intense and very spicy, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and I really liked the ending. It did not hit as well as Phantasma, which originally I gave Phantasma 4.5 stars. So then I got an ALC of Crescent Kingdom by Tessa Hale. This is Why Choose Paranormal Wolf Shifters Romance. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely devoured this book. It is short, but it packs a punch. So this is the first book in the Wolves of Crescent Creek series, and I loved Ren. Ren is our heroine. She has a very heartbreaking backstory that we find out in the prologue what happened to her, and it starts off very dark with the death of her mother when she was a kid and her father coming to get her. Her father is a very evil man, and what he does is just wrong. She ends up enduring years of intense abuse that has given her PTSD. So she escapes her father and she's on the run trying to get away from her father. Her father has $1 million bounty on her head because of who she is. She is a very strong and dynamic heroine. She's very much empathetic. She is not naturally a fighter, but she learned how to fight to survive, which I absolutely love that. She meets 2 of our heroes, Kingston and Puck. Puck is a British boy who owns the bar that she works at, and she's renting the loft over the bar. And then she meets Kingston, who runs the gym that she goes to learn how to spar and stuff at, and they're both intrigued by her. I love that Kingston, who is the alpha of the pack, he calls her little warrior, and he just absolutely loves her. Then she bonds with Brix, who is the mercenary. He is very different because he's very quiet. He's more reserved, and there's reasons for this. Brix is definitely a character that you have to get to know a little more. The last member of their pack is Ender, and he's a jackass. Like, the way he treats her, and he's very suspicious of her. All of it comes to a head when they find out who her father is. And then we get left on a cliffhanger. But they didn't realize that they were actual mates. They just knew that they were really wanting to be around her, and she wanted to be around him because she has some magical abilities. She needed to hide, right? She needed to hide from everybody so they wouldn't know who she is. When she had to unhide from them, where she had to show who she was, they all realized that they were actually indeed fated mates. And yeah, ends on a cliffhanger. I'm very excited for the next one. I think it comes out. I actually found out and I took a screenshot. Let me take a look. So book 2 comes out July 16th, and then book 3 comes out September 24th. So I'm gonna have to wait a little bit to get to the next book, and that's okay. Truly, not really, but it's okay. I have really no choice. All right, and then I read Night Shadow by Nora Roberts. This was first published in 1991, and this is book 2 in her Knight's Tale series. So this one I ultimately gave 4 stars. This one is Nora's version of Batman, right? The hero Gage has secret powers after coming out of a coma. Like, he gets shot. He was a police officer. He gets shot, and then all of a sudden he has these special powers after he comes out of a coma. And Deborah is our heroine who puts herself into danger to hold criminals accountable. She is the DA, or assistant DA. Anyway, this is very, very dramatic and very entertaining. I had a very good time with this. It is quick. It is fun. Definitely shows its age a little bit, but I do recommend you check this one out. Then I went right on to Night Tales, book 3, which is Nightshade by Nora Roberts, and I ended up giving this one also 4 stars. This one is about Althea. She is a detective, and she was investigating a prostitution ring where girls were being raped and stolen. It was a really bad one. So Colt comes to Denver because Althea's in Denver to find a friend's missing daughter. He ends up working with Althea because his friend's daughter was one of the girls who was basically trafficked and made to do sexual things. And so Althea and him start to work together, and they butt heads, but in such a very tension-filled, chemistry-ridden way, and they work together very well. And the suspense plot was somewhat predictable, but I still was very interested in it. I liked Colt a lot. I thought Colt was a very good character, and Althea was a very, very strong character. Some stuff that happened to her was very heartbreaking before she became a detective. I really enjoyed this one, and I would recommend it. And then I got the ALC of Ruined Vows by Stasia Black. This is my first Stasia Black book, okay? And it's 3rd book in the Carnal Game series. And I really did enjoy it. You can actually read it as a standalone. This one is about Kira. She is a trust fund baby. She also has a very abusive father and an abusive mother, and her fiance is... her fiance allows her and him to have affairs out of their engagement because it's not really a love match. However, someone is stalking her and someone's doing bad things, and so she hires a bodyguard, and the bodyguard that she hires, and he is Isaac, who is our hero. He's also works as security at the BDSM club that she's not a member at, but she is working on her dissertation for her PhD. She's researching BDSM and a way of healing and the lifestyle. Anyway, so she hires him. They're both very attracted to each other. They end up in a very interesting dynamic for their romance. They end up in a BDSM type of a relationship, and there was a twist that I did not see coming that I thought was very interesting, and I really liked that twist. I gave it 4 stars, pretty much because of that twist. That twist was really, really well done. It's harder for me to not see twists coming because I read so much romantic suspense and stuff. So if I don't see a twist coming, I'm gonna give that an extra star just for the twist. But the romance was good. The story was interesting. The pacing was good. I thought that it was kind of long for the type of story it was. She could have maybe skimmed an hour off on it and it would have been better. But it was good, and I would recommend that one. Then I got an ALC for The Reluctant Wife by Elle Steele. This is book 4 in her Devonport series, and this is my first Elle Steele book. I gave this one 4 stars as well. This one is also a bodyguard romance. However, she's a princess, and I love a princess bodyguard romance. So, I know I'm predictable, but this is Riot and Aurelia. They first met at a bar when a guy was bugging her, and she pretended that Riot was her husband, and she didn't even know who he was, but he played along with it, and they had their first kiss at that bar. Come to find out, her father, the king, hires a bodyguard for her because someone is stalking her, and it ends up being Riot. He was a British soldier, and he's a self-made man, but he's also comes from a lot of money. He also has a lot of baggage. So he has a dead ex-wife, and he kind of laments on her a lot, and that just kind of took away from, I'd rather him not lament on his ex-wife but pine for Aurelia, who is our heroine, and he didn't do that for a while, but he started to, and then that's when it really picked up. We could have cut off some of that part and it would have made the story stronger, but the story itself is very good. She's very feisty but yet reasonable. She does things to needle him. Once he gave in to his desire for her, and because she was trying to seduce him, because she wanted to seduce him, and when he gave in, he had the my wife, my woman type of a mentality, which, oh my gosh, I eat that up like it's candy. So once that put in there, I was like, chef's kiss. I love it. I mean, I was hooked on this book immediately. What threw me out was he wasn't pining for his ex-wife. There was stuff that happened, but he kept thinking about it, and I was like, dude, let it go. So that's why I ended up being 4 stars instead of 5 stars, because I actually really, really loved the story. I loved who the villain ultimately was. I loved that. I loved the twists and turns. Shane East and Ava Lucas, they killed it on this. I absolutely loved the audiobook. I would recommend this. And so I gave 4 stars. And then I went back to the Night Tales books, and I read Night Smoke, which is book 4 in that series by Nora Roberts. Someone was burning down Natalie's businesses, and Ryan is an arson investigator. And he's trying to catch the villain who's burning down her businesses. As they investigate, because she's trying to keep an eye on what's going on, because this is her livelihood, right? It's her family's business. There's sparks fly in a very chaotic way. I had fun with this. I liked how Natalie and Ryan running around because of all the crap that was going on, but they were also more willing to save each other in the end. And listen, it had good banter. It was fun. It was slightly predictable how suspense plot went out, but I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. And I think this whole series itself is fairly solid. I did end up reading the last book, which is book 5, which is in the Night Shield series, and this is Night Shield. This one was my favorite. This one, I gave it 4.5 stars. This one is about Jonah Blackhawk. He owns a nightclub where patrons are being targeted in a burglary ring, right? So his friend Boyd Fletcher, Boyd is the hero of the first book, and the first book is my least favorite in this, but he asked Boyd for help. So Allie Fletcher is Boyd's daughter, and she is now a detective who's assigned to find the burglars. So she goes undercover at the nightclub that Jonah owns. Jonah doesn't really like police officers because he's very mistrustful over police. Allie also has a stalker ex-boyfriend who just will not take no and really crosses the line at parts. They do act on their mutual attractions despite them trying to solve this case together. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I loved the romance. I loved the suspense plot, and there was enough drama and spice to keep me going. And I love that Allie really was a badass, and that Jonah was possessive enough to be swoony, but not so possessive that it went to the creepy factor. So I love an obsessive possessive hero, just as long as it doesn't go too creepy. And I loved the push and pull between them, and I give 4.5 stars, and I would recommend this series. And then for the cozy readathon that I participated in, I started off with Perfectly Wicked by Lindsay Levice. This was a new to me author, and I gave 4.5 stars. There's a very fun, cozy romance with magical beings, ghosts and stuff, and So we have our ghost hunter. His name is Connor Grimm, and he goes to investigate Holly's family's apple farm in Maine. She reluctantly, well, she was outvoted by her family. They all wanted him here to do this, right? To do this investigation. She didn't want to because they have a secret. So, but they really needed the money because all these rumors about this ghost was driving away their business. So she reluctantly agrees. The characters are very interesting. I love Holly and her sisters. This is a fun take on witches and wickeds, and you just have to read the book to understand that because it was really, really fun. I highly recommend this book. Connor is such a cinnamon roll hero who protects Holly and her family from people who are very nasty and want to use them for their own personal gain. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars and I would recommend it. Then I got an ALC. It was Under the Same Sky. This is book 2 in the Timberbridge Brothers series. So they reached out to me to ask me if I wanted to read this because I like romantic suspense. And I was like, yeah, I will absolutely try it because I'm always looking for a good romantic suspense. I gave this one 5 stars. I was very happy I said yes. Audiobook was well performed by Stephanie Namath Parker and Connor Crais. This was my first Stephanie Namath Parker book, but it's not going to be the last one in this from this month. Like, I don't know if she's done more in the past. I have to look her up, but I really like her. So let me tell you what the tropes are. So this one is small town romantic suspense where the hero falls first. He's very protective and the heroine is well written and she's a very strong heroine. The hero is Hopper and he's very grumpy and nice. Nysa. Nysa. I think that's how you say it. I don't remember how they said it on the audiobook, but she's sunshine perfection. So he's also a single dad. Okay. She left Bitterwood Springs suddenly 3 years ago when she was out on her land and she saw people burying a body. They kidnapped her and tried to kill her. She survived and ran. She's been hiding for that time. Her grandmother basically told her it was okay to come back and that she is dying. So she goes back to see her grandmother because her family, her father and mother and brother are already dead from an accident years ago. So she's like, okay, if my grandmother says it's safe, I'm gonna go back. So she goes back to her house. She meets Hopper, who's a veterinarian, and he has a 2.5-year-old daughter named Maddie. He owns the piece of land next to her, and she didn't realize someone had moved in to next to her. She realized pretty quickly that her grandmother did indeed lie, that she was actually not dying, but she wanted her to come home. And 2, that she and his daughter, Maddie, are being watched. And it escalates fairly quickly. Hopper is such a protective hero, not just over his daughter, but also over our heroine. And I want to say her name, but I'm just so afraid of messing it up. She's helping Hopper keep Maddie safe from these masked men who are looking through their window, who are always 2 to 3 steps ahead of them. They don't know who these people are. They don't know what is going on. We don't know who the villain is, and it adds a layer of eeriness to the story. The small town is very well written. The characters are very well written. I loved the romance. I loved Maddie as a character. The suspense plot was well thought out. The villains, there are more masked stalkers and murderers. This is not over. There's an overarching plot. I have not read the first book. I am going to be going back, getting the audiobook for the first one because I want to know what happened to the first one. This can be read as a standalone, and I highly recommend this one. Our heroine, she remained kind and empathetic despite all the bad stuff that was happening to her. And our heroine is very possessive, and he has the who hurt you vibes. I'm going to end the person who hurt you. I just love that. Like, again, possessive hero, but not to the point where it's creepy. This one, I'm not going to tell you how it ends. You need to read this book. I highly recommend reading this book. And then for the Cozy Readathon, I read A Dark and Secret Magic. I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. Our heroine is Hecate, but she goes by Kate, and she is a reclusive head witch who doesn't have access to all of her magic because her mother purposely part of her magic abilities to protect her from basically the god of the underworld who wants to have her. So this is a kind of a Persephone's and Hades retelling but with witches. Matthew comes back. She met him years ago, and Matthew, he's there for some reasons. We don't know the reasons until we get there, but he does things to save her. I loved it. I gave 4.5 stars. I highly recommend this one. And then I got the ALC for A Little Liar. This is a Lee Rivers book. It's like the Web of Violence Duet. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, so I read the first one a long time ago. Forgot that I had read it. Didn't even calculate it. So I thought I had a new to me author, and so I read Little Strangers. I started to listen to the audiobook of Little Strangers, and I ended up DNFing that one because I really can't handle Joe Arden's voice right now for reasons. But this one is definitely darker. You have to check trigger warnings. Malachi and Olivia are adopted brother and sister, so they're not, but there's too much brother and sister, and that's what threw me from the first one too. So this one, it got a bit heavy-handed, but the tone and the themes of the book, it worked. So there was spider play in this. That's I don't like spiders, but it worked for the characters that Lee Rivers wrote. And if you like the first one, you're probably gonna like this one. I thought the audiobook was well narrated. The story was engaging for the most part. I gave it 4 stars, but I don't think Lee Rivers is gonna be for me. She's a little too dark for me personally. So then I got an ALC for When We Break by Kristen Proby. This is the second book in the Blackwell series, and I gave 4.5 stars. This one's about Beckett and Skyla. So he first saw her, he was very intrigued by her, but it took him a while to get up the nerve to talk to her. She was a very talented ballerina who moved from New York City because she had a stalker. That's the conflict. She was feeling unsafe. She also had a pretty much career ending. She felt like it was a career ending injury trying to run from her stalker. She's Irish and her family's very well off. Her brother Connor comes in, and that was so much fun. So the narrators were Stephanie Namath Parker and Connor Crace, and they both did Irish accents perfectly. I loved it. Beckett had this My Woman vibe going on with this, trying to protect her, and the romance plot was really fun. It was really sexy. The suspense plot was really good. And one of the things that made me laugh about it is that they were reading S.J. Tilly's Dom in this book, and I was like, that is so much fun. I loved that they would read together. They would read romance books together. That made me laugh. I really enjoyed it. The book is fantastic. I would recommend it. I gave 4.5 stars. And then I got the ALC for The Final Face-Off by Kendall Hale. And this is my first Kendall Hale book, and I gave 4 stars. So Leif Crawford has been in love with his best friend Haley for years. But he never moved on the feelings because she's very flighty. She goes from one place to another. She doesn't actually have a home. Anyway, she runs on emotions more so, and he runs on logic more so. But they are best friends. She is a documentary filmmaker, and so she's very nomadic. He just moved to New York because he got signed to the New York team after wanting to leave Arizona. On his hockey team, he is a goalie. And she ends up having a one-night stand with a guy in Greece, gets pregnant, and freaks out. He finds her, and he's like, okay, well, I will take care of you. And he does. He loved that baby like it was his own, because he loves the mother so much that it didn't matter that that baby was not his. This was a really good surprise pregnancy because he didn't freak out. He's like, she was the one who was freaking out more often than he was. And he's like, I'm going to take care of you. He was there for her in every single way. I enjoyed this book a lot. I gave 4 stars. I will be checking out this author again, and I think you guys should pick it up. And then the last book I read in the month of April was King of Envy. This is book 5 in the King of Sin series, and I gave it 5 stars. This is my favorite Anna Wong book, I think, because I love Vuk. Vuk is a very dark, gray, morally hero. Like, he embodies touch her and die. Okay, so this book, the romance is all consuming. He has an all consuming love for our heroine. He did everything to protect her from the stuff that was happening to her. So she was supposed to be marrying his best friend Jordan, and so he backed off because he out of respect for his best friend. But those two just have this intense chemistry. Anya's romance with Jordan was non-existent. It was supposed to be a marriage of convenience where she was supposed to marry him so he couldn't get his inheritance, and he would give her money to get out of this very problematic contract with her modeling agency. This is a very much secret society. This is a group of assassins that are coming after Vuk and also coming after Anya. And my gosh, the pacing of this book was fantastic. It's a little long, but I didn't feel the length. I loved Jordan as a character. He's very much an interesting character. He releases her. He's like, we cannot get married. And so that frees her up to pursue Vuk, who pursues her too. This book is fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. Probably my favorite Ana Huang book. I think it's my favorite in the series so far. Anyway, I would highly recommend that book. So those are the books that I gave 4 stars or above in the second half of April. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you think of them. Let me know your favorite book in the month of April was. I would love to know. But if you made it this far in this video and you want to let me know what you hear, please leave me a bird emoji because the birds are chirping outside. And until next time, my friends, happy reading. Bye.